We are on week 7 of the 12-week Starting Over program. This is a course that I developed after working in second chances for the last decade and allowing myself to undergo my own transformation. I'm 15 years clean from methamphetamines and 3.5 years sober from alcohol. So it has been quite the journey. So this 12-week course, I basically go over different things such as recognizing toxic behaviors, setting boundaries, reverse engineering your goals so you can achieve new heights to what the person you're trying to be, reconnect to your inner child, honoring yourself with grace and with love and with mercy. It is never my intention to make you feel shameful in any way, shape, or form. I want you to take a look inward and do it with grace and love and a softness. And I'm hoping that with me sharing my own experiences, you are able to process some of your own pain in a safe and quiet space where you don't feel any judgment. So week 7 is all about sticking to your plan or sticking to those boundaries that you set. So back in week 6, last week, we talked about recognizing codependent behavior and setting boundaries. That, unfortunately, as much as that sucks, that's the easy part. So for me, it was really difficult to set boundaries and then stick with them because humans are complex. We have relationships that, we have to set boundaries with where we love the other person, or we've worked with the other person for a long time, or maybe we knew this person. I'll speak for myself. There's people I had to set boundaries with that knew me pre-sobriety. So I was a completely different person then than I am now. So sometimes I got some really adverse reactions when I would set a boundary. They'd be like, who do you think you are? Who made you all high and mighty all of a sudden? Because you got to remember, when you are evolving and you're doing the work and you're changing things about yourself, that doesn't mean that other people are doing that as well. So staying firm in your truth and your boundaries can be very difficult, especially if you're going through a lot of emotional change, if you're trying to get into recovery or struggling with addiction. So for me, what I do is I really try to, when I'm taking inventory of my personal relationships, which we've talked about that in one of our weeks, we also talked about our core values and aligning with people who align with our core values. So number 1, if you feel that somebody is not aligning with your core values, and if you need to go back and look at, I don't know what week it's in. It might be week 2. If you go back and look at that video, I really talk about establishing what your own core values are for your life. If somebody's not aligning with those core values, at some point, the relationship is going to cause pain. Period. The end. It's going to cause pain. And sometimes I have to recognize that. I have to recognize when I'm in a situation or a relationship that is not aligning with my core values. And I have to ask myself, do I want to go through the pain now and set a boundary and feel that suffering? Because for me, at the end of the day, I don't like to suffer ever at all. That's partly why I was an addict. I really just did not like to suffer. I didn't want to feel my emotions. So do I want to go through this pain now? Or do I want to go through the pain later with an added consequence? Whatever that consequence may be. It could be taking on a client that you don't fully align with. You can face the pain now and just say no to that client and say no to that money, or you can face the pain later, which could include a consequence, which is something happening that your gut feeling told you could have happened had you taken this client. That works, obviously, romantic relationships, friendships, you get the gist. So at some point, if you are in a relationship with somebody that does not align with your core values, you are going to feel pain regardless. So for me, I'll speak for myself, it's easier for me to set that boundary and stick with it. And so another way that I take inventory of my personal relationships while I'm trying to stand firm in my truth and set my boundaries is recognizing if those people honor my boundaries. So now I'm at a point, I've done a lot of work. When I say I've suffered and I've learned and I've failed forward, I'm going to say fail forward because every failure I've really learned. It was not easy in the beginning, but now I'm at a place where it's really easy for me to recognize a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. In the beginning, it was really difficult for me to recognize that because I didn't even know who I was. I didn't even know who I wanted to be. So when somebody would gaslight me or make me feel crazy for setting a boundary, I really would wonder if I'm crazy, and I would spiral in my mind, and then I would not stand firm in that boundary because I would start feeling shame, or I would feel guilty, or I would feel like a bad person for setting that boundary. So it does take time, but I have learned that whenever you have friends that aren't supportive of your boundaries or your achievements, that's kind of like being in a cage. Like you're literally locked in a cage, surrounded by people. I don't want to say they're hoping you fail, because I don't believe people are either good or bad. I think everybody has coping mechanisms, whether, again, good or bad, that change the way they behave. And nobody is really rooting. I know we hear it all the time from motivational speakers, like people are hating on you, people are rooting for your failure. Maybe they are subconsciously hoping you fail to make themselves feel better, but they are not going out of your way to wake up every single morning and say, wow, I hope Cheri Garcia really falls flat on her face today, right? So whenever you have friends that simply, for me, it could look as simple as somebody constantly trying to get me to drink or telling me, do you really think you have a problem, Cheri? Or like dragging me out to the bars. I'm able to be in those environments now, but if I had a friend that was constantly pushing me in those environments, that friend isn't necessarily rooting for my failure, but they don't align with my core values. And at some point in that relationship, there will be pain. So I have to stand firm in my truth and set the boundary and say, hey, I really enjoy spending time with you, but I would like to spend time with you. Can we go to brunch, or can we go to a place that doesn't have alcohol? If their reaction to that boundary is negative, then I know that that's not a person that aligns with my core values. And so what I've done to really stand firm in my boundary setting, I have a journal, and I journal every single morning. It really helps me, and that's part of your homework, by the way, to just start journaling. Even if you're just going to sit down and just write out some thoughts. It doesn't have to be any certain journal prompts or anything like that. If you need a journal prompt, go to Google and type in journal prompts, and you'll find plenty. But it really helps you get quiet, get your thoughts out of your head, because if you are in a place where you're still kind of figuring things out and you're on this journey to set boundaries, and the only people you have to listen to are those people who are responding to your boundary setting, it can get very confusing. This video is about to end, so I have to get to my last point right now. Another way that I check inventory of my relationships is if I feel confused about the relationship, if I'm constantly wondering if that person's mad at me or where I stand with them in the relationship, then I know that that is most likely a relationship with some toxicity, and I need to take a look at that and set some boundaries. So video's almost over. I hope this video helped you as it relates to setting boundaries and standing firm in your truth. Homework, get a journal, start writing stuff down. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.